You're listening to Packers Talk Network.
Do you want to experience the thrill of a Packers game at Lambeau Field? If so, be sure to get your game ticket from the longtime trusted source in Wisconsin, Ticket King. Visit their locations in Milwaukee and Green Bay, or just go to their website at ticketking.com. Again, that's ticketking.com.
Throws it up in the air, says a prayer, and Jayme says, oh, please! What a cat! That's insane!
You're listening to the best Packer radio show on the internet.
Cheesehead Radio.
Reach the audience. Get those back. So I think that's the logical explanation.
Let's just, say that didn't happen.
It was a return to greatness. It was a return to form.
It's crazy. And he just kind of flew under the radar.
Get this out there so I sound good on Cheesehead Radio.
Yeah.
No negativity allowed, sir.
So I think that's actually going to be really exciting to watch. I don't think there's anything positive we can say. There's a lot.
Oh, you were looking for positive.
Yeah. I guess that's what I meant. Positive, I think. Hello again, Packer Nation. Welcome to another episode of Cheesehead Radio. This one coming off the Packers' win over the Bears last Thursday night. Your hosts tonight are the superfluous C.D. Angeli of PackersTalk.com and Cheesehead TV. Also with us is the savvy Michelle Bruton of Cheesehead TV and Bleacher Report, the ardent Jayme Snowden of Cheesehead TV, and myself, Jersey Al, Cheesehead TV, and Packers Talk, and a million other things. Sponsoring the Packers Talk Network this year are the fine folks at Ticket King. They've been selling Packers, Badgers, and other tickets in Wisconsin for almost 25 years and have earned a reputation for excellent customer service and prices. Do us a favor and please be sure to check out their website when you're looking for tickets to any event in Wisconsin. Check them out at theticketking.com. Joining us tonight will be special returning guest, Bill Huber, publisher of PackerReport.com, part of the Scout.com network. Looking forward to talking to Bill, so let's get this started with some Packers news.
Packers news.
Well, as is becoming our custom, we'll start tonight's news with injury updates. Wide receiver Randall Cobb appeared on the injury report Wednesday with a hamstring and was limited in practice. Ty Montgomery was also limited with an unspecified illness. The Packers will want both of those receivers back to attack Atlanta's 31st-ranked secondary on Sunday.
In addition to Cobb and Montgomery, T.J. Lang was limited in practice, while Jared Cook, Clay Matthews, Demarius Randall, Quentin Rollins, and James Starks did not participate. Now, in positive news, however, running back Don Jackson was a full participant, which bodes well for his availability on Sunday against the Falcons.
Speaking of Ty Montgomery, if you're a fantasy football player, you'll be interested to know that depending on which platform you play, you may be able to use Montgomery as a running back as well as a receiver. ESPN has given fantasy owners that option, but Yahoo continues to list him as a wide receiver only.
Can I put him in as a running back in Madden, though?
Probably not, because they don't update that quickly, do they?
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I still play on a PlayStation 2, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, on Monday, Rob Demoski reported that Demarius Randall underwent surgery over the weekend to repair a groin injury that has sidelined the cornerback. He's not expected to be a season ender, but the recovery timeline is somewhere between 4 to 6 weeks.
Packers fans have no doubt added Jeff Pearlman's new Brett Favre biography, Gunslinger, to their must-read list, but Aaron Rodgers is apparently taking umbrage with one of the excerpts from the book, possibly the one Pearlman relates in which Rodgers approached Favre upon arriving in Green Bay and said, "Good morning, Grandpa." Rodgers said, quote, "The story that was out there that I saw is completely 100% false, and I would dare anybody to test my memory on that. You guys know how my memory works. The end," end quote. Salty.
He was lit. Looking ahead to Atlanta, the Falcons will likely be without running back Tevin Coleman on Sunday. Now, they still have Devonta Freeman, but those two backs usually work as a 1-2 punch for Atlanta.
In other words, prepare for a shootout on Sunday as two of the league's top 10 run defenses take on one another with depleted backfields.
Nice. And finally, the Packers made some roster moves this week. On Monday, Green Bay promoted a Cheesehead Radio favorite wide receiver, Geronimo Allison, and defensive back Jermaine Whitehead to the active roster, placing Jared Abbrederis and Chris Banjo on IR.
And that was your Packers news of the week. Now it's time for your
Packer Tweets from Packer Tweets.
Well, for all of you that are slowly scrambling to get back on the Davante Adams bandwagon, well, there are a lot of you, and admittedly, it was pretty empty. Whether his fantastic performance in last Thursday's game was a one-off or signs of things to come, Ryan Wood gave us the eye-popping tweet. In franchise history, only one Packers player has caught more passes in a game than Davante Adams tonight. His name is Don Hudson.
Well, I wouldn't start planning the new Davante Adams Center practice facility anytime soon, though. Speaking of bandwagons, the Packers Twitterverse is full of folks who spend a lot of time regularly boarding and onboarding the green and gold bandwagon, sometimes several times a game. Our friend, the Packer Rancher, gave us this wink and nod from the true fans. You always let fellow fans back on the bandwagon, but I firmly believe you give them a look when you're helping them back on. Go Pack, go.
And the Packers running game has certainly been the Packers version of the Bears quarterback position this year, one dumpster fire after another. Certainly, there was some hope after Ted traded for the Chiefs' Niall Davis last week. Unfortunately, Mike Tanier summed up both Davis and the Packers rushing game plan with this bleak tweet. Guess Niall Davis learned 0 of the Packers' 3 running plays.
Ouch. Well, hopefully practice squad player turned sudden starter Don Jackson will have more than 3 plays under his belt this week. Unfortunately, the Packers are without their primary rusher, Eddie Lacy, for quite some time. The amazing Kyle Kuzma sums up what Eddie must be thinking. Eddie has to be pissed. Contract year, injured going into Dallas game, didn't bring on a second running back. He plays, gets injured worse, he's on IR. Yikes.
And whether we do or do not have Kyle's helicopter sound effect, Kyle has definitely given us this week's Cheesehead Radio Tweet of the Week.
Tweet of the Week.
So, if you have a bleak tweet, can we just call that a bleat?
Isn't that the noise a baby goat makes?
Yes, but now it's got a whole new definition.
Baby lamb.
Bleat.
It's a bleat.
That's
it's
a whole different
tweet.
social network. The goats. Yeah. Not sure. Bleeder. You have never heard of Bleeder?
Is this another one of your 1970s movies, Al?
All day long. Back in.
It's like, does anyone remember on The Office when Ryan founded Woof, and every time you get anything on social media, all of your things update? Woof. Like a woof.
All right, well, let's get to this week's playbook.
The Playbook.
Best intro ever. Anyway.
Is that new?
How long did it take you to make that one?
3 seconds. And also, I put it in an appropriate volume this week, so it sounded better. No problem.
Week 8, still working out the kinks.
It's rough. Year 6. So, let's just kick it here, because I think the title of our episode this week kind of sums it up. It's just meh. Packers get this win against the Bears. They win going away against what could be considered the JV team of the Bears of the NFL. I mean, this is a team that it's a bad team. It's a team that we're supposed to beat, and their second stringer, was okay, gets hurt. They got the third. It was terrible. I mean, the Packers just finally got the momentum. Bears were just put away. Easy to get excited, yes. Hard to get overexcited, yes. Is this week still a test, or is the optimism back?
I don't know how anyone can be optimistic at this point with the up and down play and all the injuries. Like, I don't generally agree with a lot of the commenters on the Cheesehead TV live chat because they're very interesting souls. But I sum up the game based on their comments of the first half was, the Bears are awful. We should be winning this handedly. This is pathetic. And then the second half is, we should have won by more. Like, there was never like, we're losing, it's a close game, and then we were winning tremendously, or not tremendously, but we were winning handedly, and it was still not good enough. And it was just like, there was no real way to feel amped after that, because we walked away with a mediocre first half and more injuries.
Are you saying that most Packer fans are hard to please?
No.
Yes, and I include myself in that. I am hard to please. I'm okay with saying that.
Well, and to Jayme's point, not only is every week a test, but every week brings a new test in a way, because every time you turn around, the Packers are facing a team that's number one in the league in some category. 2 weeks ago, they were facing the number one rusher in Ezekiel Elliott, and now they've got the league's number one receiver in Julio Jones. And so they're constantly having to be able to adapt to facing these incredible, incredible players and try to contain them on defense. And it seems like every week the defense rolls out third stringers, fourth stringers, and somehow, they haven't fallen apart yet. But for all the hand-wringing about the offense this year, it's sort of just a question of, can the defense really kind of limp along like this for the whole season, or is there going to be a straw that breaks the camel's back at some point?
Yeah, this game against Atlanta has me worried for a lot of reasons. Certainly going up against a guy like Julio Jones and Matt Ryan, who's having a good year, although that's happened before and he's gone off the track. I hope this is the game. But, with three cornerbacks missing, your best three cornerbacks, is certainly reason for concern now, isn't it? So every week, to all your points, every week is, in fact, a different test. Maybe you could make the argument that last week wasn't much of a test, although it was at halftime, right? We thought we were definitely being tested at halftime. So you just never know with the NFL. But this is going to be tough for the Packers this week. Very tough.
Well, and I think the reason that it feels, additionally, why every week is a test is, like what Michelle said, it's that we're every week amazed that the defense can hold it together as much as it can, but everyone knows that is not sustainable for a 16-game season and into the postseason. That's just not. And there doesn't seem to be any relief around the corner of like, oh, we just got to limp through and, keep going on our last cell of battery for 4 weeks and we'll be good. No, it's for the rest of the season. Like, there's no end in that sight. And that's why it just feels like, will this be the week? I don't know. Maybe. To me, that's why it feels that way.
Well, and everyone loves to point to the 2010 season when the Packers had, I think, 15, players on IR.
Yeah.
And this just feels a little bit different to me because it seems like that year that really started to come to a head later in the season. It seems like they just had to push through. There was that game against the Patriots that they were so close but lost. And it seemed like they only had to push through like 4 games at the end of the season and just make it. But this year it's like more than half a season that they're going to have to get through. And they've got all these guys on IR. They can only bring one back. It's just a really scary situation for them on defense.
Yeah, but remember the reason they had to push through those last 4 games is because, they weren't going to make the playoffs unless they won those 4 games. So, it's not like they were having a great season record-wise, up until that point. So
right.
I think it might be a little closer to 2010 than maybe you're describing. I don't want to compare them and don't want to take that approach. Oh yeah, this is just like 2010.
Yeah.
But
don't knock on wood.
I see some similarities. I do.
I think there are certainly some, to be sure, but I worry that people seem to expect the same outcome, and I'm just not sure. I mean, you have to remember, too, that in 2010, the offense playing a lot better than it is now. And that's sort of, I think, the big wild card. Yeah. Right, exactly.
Right. So that was a little different. But in any case, I think it might be time for us to talk to our special guest.
That it is, and we'd like to welcome back here to Cheesehead Radio. It's Mr. Bill Huber, he of the Packer Report over at Scout.com. Bill, welcome back to the show.
That's right, it's Mr. Bill. Don't forget that.
Mr. Bill!
For your old listeners, there you go. The young crowd has no idea what that means whatsoever.
Oh, no! Do the millennials know what that means?
I would say there's zero chance that zero chance.
Well, ask me our millennial.
We do, but it may only be because my parents got our dog Mr. Bill plush toy, and when you hit him against a wall, he went, "Oh no!"
Oh, there you go.
and then it got torn apart, right? Torn
exactly.
Apart all over the carpet. Awesome.
The whole point.
Yep.
Those were so funny. Anyway, Bill, welcome back. I'm going to hit you right away with an article you just posted a few hours ago. So I'm sure, like me, it's fresh in your mind and you're ready to talk about it. Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre, Jeff Pearlman's book. You've been doing a good job working with Jeff and helping talk about it and promote the book a little bit. What's your thoughts on some of the latest turnabout with the whole Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre situation?
Yeah, honestly, I don't care. I just don't care. Whoever's story of the grandpa line is right. Aaron Rodgers is a 21-year-old kid at the time. God, we all said stupid things, right? So, if Rodgers said it in the setting he said it in, whatever. I mean, we all said stupid things, and I realized that everyone wanted Brett Favre to be this mentor and everything else for Rodgers, but I mean, let's be real. I mean, everyone out there has a job. Are you going to go train some young whippersnapper to come in and tell them everything about your job? No. I mean, I wouldn't. If some intern or I was told to work with so and he said, and give them all your scouting contacts for the draft. So no, I'm not going to give them my scouting contacts. So I busted my butt for those. So if Favre wasn't forthcoming enough for Rodgers, well, tough. It's not his. I'm with Favre on that one. It's not my job. You're here to take my job. I'm not going to facilitate that. So whatever happened back then, I just don't care. I just think it was human nature on both ends of it. Something was said by Rodgers. He was 21 years old. Big deal. And if Favre wasn't going to help, well, would anybody else help? No. So I honestly don't care. And yet I wrote a story on it today. So there you go.
I noticed that. I thought you'd be
your mind.
Mind. No, but isn't it interesting though that this comes out and it should be it's a fun book, Gunslinger, Jeff Pearlman, and yet it still seems to go back to this stupid Favre-gate, Rodgers versus Favre versus Thompson. Don't you just get? I guess is that just a part of Packer lore now that's just going to keep getting dragged out every couple of months or every couple of years, or can we just put this behind us at some point?
I'd hope so. I mean, it's just ancient history now. I realize if you're going to do a Favre book, you can't overlook that part of it. And there's a lot of other stuff in the book that's probably doesn't paint Brett in the most favorable of lights, but. Whatever. Yeah, I guess you can't ignore it. If you're going to write the life story of the quarterback, you can't gloss over the bad stuff.
Right. All right. Well, thanks a lot, Jayme.
Okay. Well, Atlanta's been able to put up points this season with the Packers defense surprisingly stronger, but with every week injury holes seeming to get larger and larger. Will this defense be able to stop or even try to contain the offense?
Yeah, I just find that hard to believe that they're going to be able to do that. I just think they're going to take their lumps with. There's been really good defenses who haven't had an answer for Julio Jones. I think Ladarius Gunter's a good player, and I defended him like crazy after the Dallas game. Everyone who said they should cut the guy, I'm like, did you not watch the Giants game? But Julio Jones has torn apart lesser defenses. No, lesser defense. What am I trying to say? He's torn apart better corners than he's going to face on Sunday. So I find it hard to believe they're going to have an answer for him unless the pass rush just beats the hell out of Matt Ryan and he throws him a few passes, which is possible. That's been Ryan's MO over the years is he'll pressured. The whole Matty Ice thing has always been kind of nonsensical because he's melted under pressure in the past. So if they can get some pressure on him, maybe they got a fighting chance. But I just find it hard to believe they're going to have enough answers to keep Atlanta in under 30. It's hard to believe.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Al.
Hey, Bill. It's nice to have the official first question asker at McCarthy press conferences with us tonight. So how did that come about?
I have no idea. I have no idea. It's never been asked. It's just I don't know. He gets up there. He says questions, please, and everyone sits there waiting for someone to ask a question. I'm like, oh shit, I better ask it. Well, you swore. Shoot, I better ask a question before the guy walks off. Okay. So I am the. Yeah, you name the coach. It's almost always left up to me and asked to get the ball rolling. So, it's someone compared me to Helen Thomas the other day for old White House press corps watchers, which is, I guess, is a compliment to be compared to Helen Thomas. But
yeah, I saw that. Anyway, my real question for you is this. Any inkling on what the Packers are hoping to get out of Geronimo Allison or why McCarthy seems determined to keep 7 wide receivers come hell or no running backs?
Well, they don't have 7. Ty Montgomery's a running back. Rodgers said it after the game. Well, I'm not making a joke.
Technicality.
No, it's not technicality. It was before the week 2. It was a week 2 practice when Lacey and Starks are healthy, and there's Ty Montgomery with the running backs the entire practice. He's doing pass protection drills. When they're running routes, the receivers are running routes to one end of the field, and he's taking checkdowns with Lacey and Starks. I mean, he's a running back, and I know some of this has been exacerbated by the injury situation, but this is what he's a running back now. He just did it. He's been practicing it for weeks now. We couldn't mention it a few weeks ago, but the guy's a running back now. And when Lacey and Starks come back, I'm sure maybe he'll take some receiver reps. But this is Ty Montgomery's new role. And until defenses can figure out a way to stop the check downs and the flare outs, and it's a wrinkle that the Packers haven't had forever. And until defenses can figure out a way to stop it, I don't think there's any reason to change the role for him. And then as for Allison,
yeah.
What has Jeff Janis done? Nothing. What did Aberdare do? Nothing. What has Trevor Davis done outside of a pass interference call? Nothing. So if you're going to be a pass-first team, which they have to be at this point, you got to find a receiver and catch the ball. And maybe let's see what this new kid can do. And for all the, I know like people like Bob McGinn have questioned the lack of roster moves and stuff. I think this is a pretty, I don't want to say a strong statement, but I mean they could have kept Aberdare for a couple more weeks until he got healthy. But I think it's, you know what, we're going to give someone else a shot at this. So we'll see. I know Rodgers bragged him up pretty frequently in the preseason, so we'll see how this goes.
Yeah. Okay. Michelle?
All right, Bill. So today the Packers signed center Jacob Flores, who spent training camp with the team, to the practice squad. And one of the first things that came to mind for me, given that they use the practice squad spot at that position rather than, one of the other positions where they have a lot of injuries, is that maybe Don Barclay's days in Green Bay are numbered. What do you think about that?
No, he's a pretty versatile guy. He had a really good training camp. I mean, they're numbered by the fact that he's under a 1-year contract, and maybe he won't be back. But I don't know. I wouldn't read too much in that. When he's had to play, when he's had to play, a considerable number of snaps, he's able to string some plays together. He's played pretty well. So the fact that that he can play guard and center and he can probably play right tackle for you, I find it hard to believe that they'd get rid of him. So I think he's secure for this year. I know he didn't have the best of camps, but when he's had to play, he's been a pretty fair player for him.
Yeah, I think for me what really was sort of like a facepalm moment was when he came in and on that very same snap, Rodgers lost that fumble into the end zone. And it was just like the Bears just knew that they could overload Barclay's side and get away with it, and they did. And so that sort of got the wheels turning, and then I saw this move today. But I think you're right, and I think he'll last through the rest of his contract. But I guess I wouldn't be shocked if, he didn't get asked back.
No, probably not. I don't know if Flores is a good player or not. I mean, he had a club cat. He was hurt for a pretty fair amount of camp. So I don't ever recall himself distinguishing himself or not too much. But obviously they saw something and to bring him back. But kid from Dartmouth, it seems like a kind of a long shot kind of guy. It was a curious move, but we don't get to talk about practice squad guys to get the logic on that. So we'll be in the dark on that one for a while.
Right. We've got enough Ivy Leaguers on the offensive line for now for an NFL
That's
team.
Right, yeah.
All right. Thank you. Jayme?
Okay, Bill, do you think the pseudo-bye week will be enough to get Knile Davis acquainted with this offense? And how much do you think the Packers will be able to use him on Sunday?
It seems like he stayed behind. McCarthy talked about today that he worked with Ben Sermons, the running backs coach, over the weekend. So it's probably what we all would have assumed would have happened. I would think he'll get more of a say in things. I don't know what Don Jackson can do with the hand. I know he was full participant in practice, but that doesn't mean a whole lot. So with that injured hand, I know Rob Demovsky talked to him on Tuesday, and he said he didn't have much of a grip, which is obviously not a good thing for a running back. Davis said there's a pretty fair amount of carryover between the Chiefs offense and the Packers offense, so that helps. Just get the guy a package of stuff. I don't think he needs to know the whole menu, but at this point you're teaching him the offense via the game plan. So you're not teaching him everything. You're just teaching him the package of plays that's up for that week. So it's kind of a easier to digest sample size of the offense. So it's hard to believe that you can go past the ball 60 times at Atlanta. I think you have to have some sort of legitimate run threat back there. So I would say it's time to. I think you got to get him involved in some way, just to give those old linemen a break.
Okay, thanks, Al.
Well, speaking of the running backs, I'm still kind of steaming about what the Packers did with Eddie Lacy in the Dallas game, running him out there on a bad ankle. Not surprisingly, he comes out of that game worse for wear and now misses most of the regular season, if not more. I'm curious, has McCarthy addressed at all what the rationale or thought process was?
No, you know what? I thought about asking him the day after the game. I thought, what the hell's the point? I mean, he's not going to say anything. I mean, if the Packers screwed it up, he's not going to say. I tried like crazy, talking to other people to see what happened, and I didn't get anywhere to say anything. But, I mean, it really is the common sense thought on it, right? I mean, what else do you make out of it? There's either he was hurt badly to begin with, and Lacey wanted to try to gut his way through it, so either that wouldn't be good, or B, he was hurt and he made it worse, and that's obviously not good either. There's not a whole lot of other ways to spin it. I mean, I suppose it's possible it's an unrelated injury. I don't know how you would. I don't know how you would get to that, but it's hard to really come up with a way other than. And the weird thing is it's the total unpacker way. You know, these guys don't run guys out. They don't do it. I mean, it was fine. I talked to Corey Lindsley on that. Well, it was a Thursday game, so I was going to say Wednesday. Maybe it was Tuesday of that week, and he said he didn't like going on PUP at the time, but in retrospect, he was appreciative of how they handled it. And so you put that in juxtaposition with the Lacey injury and maybe even the Randall injury. Maybe Randall was 100% and it was just a bad luck thing. Again, who knows? But it's just so odd that they would run him out there at not 100%. It's not what they do. And, again, all we can do is guess that the Packers made it worse, but it doesn't seem good. And it's mind-boggling. I was told that the plan was to promote Don Jackson before that game, and then Quentin Rollins got hurt at that Saturday practice. So they went from activate Goodson the following Monday. So therefore they would have activated Jackson for that game. But then Rollins goes hurt, so they ended up activating Goodson instead and gambling. And obviously they needed to activate Goodson after Randall goes down. And it's, the one thing I will say in Green Bay's, I don't want to say defense, but on their logic of it. The short-term, no one wants injured reserve kind of injuries, but the short-term injuries just kill you. I mean, you can only absorb so many on your inactives list until you run out of roster spots. I mean, you look at Banjo and Aberderis, and you just get because I suppose they could have tried to keep Lacey around or Starks around, but you run out of roster spots for these guys at some point. You can't only have so many 2-week injuries until you're down to 43 guys on your roster. So all I can say is they gambled that they were able to get by, and they lost.
Big time. Okay.
All right, Bill. So Green Bay and Atlanta both have pretty good run defenses this season. They're both in the top 10, and they're both going to be missing halfbacks of their own due to injuries this Sunday. So maybe Aaron isn't going to attempt, 56 passes again, but do you think this game is going to become a shootout?
Yeah, there's really no other way to see it going. I mean, you're talking about 90 passes between these two, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, Atlanta's without a running back, and Green Bay's run defense is what it is. It's tremendous. And if you're Matt Ryan, what do you want? And you're was it Kyle Shanahan's their offensive coordinator? I mean, what do you want to do? Do you want to test that run defense, or do you want to test the secondary without your top 3 guys? Well, that seems like a no-brainer. And if you're Green Bay and your running backs are, maybe you'll have Don Jackson available, and Dial Davis knows X number of plays, and their passing is just god awful on stats wise. Yeah, it's hard to believe there's any other game plan for either team than to come out chucking the ball. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of passes, which means incomplete passes, which means the clock stops, which means it's going to be a long game. But yeah, I would say 85, 90 passes probably, I would think, between these two guys, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that I was chuckling to myself during the Bears game because I'm definitely one of the people who kind of gets on Mike McCarthy's case a little bit about just his offensive game plan and in terms of balance. And it just, for whatever reason, it's, there's the whole joke that like McCarthy would pass it on every down if he could, if he didn't need to establish the run to open up the pass. But I was laughing to myself against the Bears because I was like, well, they don't seem to need to establish the run tonight. I mean, it was just like the passing game was great. And I think Rodgers it seemed to help him a little bit to kind of get more into that rhythm. But I guess, obviously, the Falcons are a very different team than the Bears, and I don't think we're going to see, 3 Green Bay wide receivers have more than 10 receptions, and which I think was a franchise record, if I'm not mistaken, or I think it was the second time in NFL history that had ever happened. So, yeah, I don't think it'll be quite as one-sided as it was, especially if Don Jackson and Dial Davis are both in there. But certainly, I think, like you said, 45 passes each, something around there, which I think will be kind of fun, to be honest. I mean, that's always fun to see Aaron Rodgers and Matt Ryan head-to-head.
I think Atlanta's 31st in pass defense. I realize a lot of that is, because they're winning games and teams have to play catch-up or at least play keep-up with Ryan. But on paper, I mean, even in the conference call with their coach today, I mean, he was lamenting the number of big plays they're giving up through the air. So I think he's concerned, and it's hard to believe they're going to do. It worked so well last week, and part of me thinks it might be a blessing without Lacey at this point. It's forced Rodgers to just give up on this long ball, big play, extend the play kind of thing, and go to something else. It may have forced a change for the offense that might be beneficial here in the long run. Of course, again, this is all the caveat. It was the Bears last week, and you hate to make too much out of it.
Right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to Bill Huber here on Cheesehead Radio, he of PackerReport.com over at Scout.com. Bill, what's going on at the Packer Report this year? You got anything hot happening, cool or new this year?
Yeah, if you sign up for 1 year of Packer Report, you get Sports Illustrated. For a whole year, you get the magazine, you get the .com, the whole Sports Illustrated shebang. So it's a really cool deal, and if you don't want to go for the whole year, you get even the monthly members get 10% discounts on tickets through Fanatics or through Ticket Monster and through Fanatics. So there's a lot of reasons to sign up, along with my way too long every week preview story. The world's best preview, which was meant to be hyperbole, but now it's just the world's longest and long-winded preview. But I do think there's a lot of pretty fair stuff in it that you can't find anywhere else.
Absolutely. Great stuff. And we have a podcast now, Locked On Packers. Is that something new too? Yeah, that's right.
David Locke is the play-by-play voice of the Utah Jazz. He's got a whole podcast network with NBA and the NFL, and I'm not sure why he reached out to me. I guess maybe he was desperate. I have no idea, but yeah, I've been doing it every week. I do it Monday through Friday. It's fun. It's a way to, rather than just write a notebook story for the .com, I can just kind of hit on a whole bunch of stuff in a hurry and talk to Jeff Pearlman and stuff like that. So it's fun listening. I don't know if I'm any good at it, but I can babble for 20 minutes with the best of them.
All right. Well, if you are not following Bill Huber on Twitter, he's at Packer Report on Twitter. And, of course, you can check him out over at PackerReport.com and check out his podcast when you get a chance. Bill, thank you so much for joining us once again here on Cheesehead Radio.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy Sunday's game.
Will do. Thanks, Bill.
We sure hope so, yes.
yeah, you hope so, right? Yeah. All right, take care, guys.
All right, bye-bye.
Yeah, hopefully it will be an enjoyable experience on Sunday.
It would be a pleasant switch, would it not? All right, well, it's time to get to one of our very favorite segments. That was a little too quiet, wasn't it? Let's try that again.
Yeah, that one can go a little bit louder.
There we are.
There we go, yeah.
All these things come at a different time. So it's our Hot Pockets. Just a quick final discussion topic that each of us want to throw out. Others can chip in if you want. I'll start out, first of all, and that is with playing the Atlanta Falcons. There's so much we're going in here, and we're so worried about the running game, so freaking out whether it's going to be Don Jackson or what's his name from Kansas City, who I always want to call Nile Diggs. I know that's not his name. It's Nile Davis. But last time Packers played the Falcons, Julio Jones had enough yardage to go all the way up the field, goal line to goal line, and then all the way back goal line to goal line, and then halfway back the field again. He had 259 yards. And this is just one of those days where you do get this feeling with all the banged up in the secondary. Packers have been relatively stout against the run this year. Just very, very nervous Matt Ryan's going to have his way, and that might end up being the tipping point in this game.
CD, I just want to add that you're not the only one who calls him Nile Diggs. When I searched for Packers tweets, when they signed him, do you understand how many people said that Nile Diggs came back? A lot.
And actually, on WTMJ pregame show, I don't know if it was, I'm not sure who it was, but somebody kept calling him Nile Diggs too. So
really?
They were joking about it. Yeah.
That's so weird. I've never heard Nile Diggs, but I always want to call him Niles Davis, obviously.
Yes, I did that a lot when I was talking on Thursday night watching the game with my husband, because he was trying to figure out fantasy football wise who was gonna play. And I was like, I don't think Niles Davis. Nope, that's Nile Davis.
All right. Well, and thank you guys for completely missing my point to my Hot Pocket. But it's okay.
Do you have a Hot Pocket? I'm sorry.
No, we don't need a Hot Pocket.
Did you say something?
No, it was nothing important.
Okay.
Jayme, throw it in. Why don't you give us your Hot Pocket this week?
Well, mine's just all about me. My Hot Pocket last week was that they needed to start feeding Ty Montgomery the ball more. And so, like, halfway through the game on Thursday, I was like, I was a genius. So my Hot Pockets is that I am a genius, and the Packers should just listen to me more often. So.
Were you running around the house saying, Hot Pocket, Hot Pocket?
Yes, I was. You know me so well. I did. I think I put it out on Twitter in our Hot Pocket segment on Cheesehead Radio. I tagged Cheesehead Radio. I was trying. I was promoting during the game because I am a genius.
There you go. Well, that was a good call. I mean, that was not like an easy thing to predict. So that was a very good call, Jayme.
Thank you.
All right.
Now, mind you, when Aaron Rodgers is going to attempt 56 passes in a game, I think a lot of wide receivers are going to get fed. So Ty Montgomery just one of them.
Apparently not Jordy Nelson, though.
But no, who would want it? Yeah, Jordy Nelson. He was supposed to save us all.
Who's that?
He's not that good or important. What are you talking about?
He used to run up the sideline sometimes. I don't know.
I barely remember that.
Speaking of which, Jersey Al, your Hot Pocket.
Well, just to prove to you that I was listening to while you were talking.
Oh, good.
Your worry about Matt Ryan and Julio Jones is why my Hot Pocket is all about getting pressure from the Packers defense without having to blitz everybody. You know, we need to get people in Matt Ryan's face because he doesn't always respond well to that. Let him sit back there, let him feel comfortable in the pocket, and you're going to have a long day in that depleted Packers secondary. Get in his face, and he'll make some questionable decisions as he has throughout his 10-year career, I want to say. He's been around that long, hasn't he? So, in any case, that's my Hot Pocket. I'm putting this all on the pass rush this week.
Hopefully they'll be able to generate something.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. And the amazing Michelle Bruton, what's your Hot Pocket? Did I say that correctly? I said Bruton. It's Bruton, isn't it?
You usually don't say Bruton, but you went for it that time.
Okay. So, Michelle, you're up. I'm just going to say Michelle now. Michelle B., you're up next.
So my Hot Pocket is a corollary to your Hot Pocket because I, too, was also listening to you.
Honestly, I got to stop you right there. I'm like almost
now we're all just sucking up.
Seriously, I'm like waving my hand in front of my face. Oh, my gosh.
So it's come to this. The only person who can stop Julio Jones for the Packers is Ladarius Gunter, which would have seemed like a devastating proposition a couple weeks ago. But I read about it for Cheesehead TV this week. And actually, I mean, it sounds crazy, but the more I think about it, the more I feel like Gunter is really well prepared to match up against Jones. Obviously, you have to just assume that no, defensive back in the league can contain Julio Jones, which is not going to happen. He's going to get triple-digit yards. Like, he's just going to because he's Julio Jones. But Ladarius Gunter has amazing length. He's 6'1". He has 31.5-inch arms. And Julio Jones is smaller than Alshon Jeffrey, who Ladarius Gunter actually did a really good job of containing against the Bears. Jeffrey was targeted 11 times, and in primary coverage on him, most of the time, Gunter only allowed 3 catches, which is a catch rate of 27%. So, obviously, Julio Jones has size and speed. That's why he's one of, if not the best receivers in the league. I think Gunter's better equipped to handle his size and his speed. But that being said, I think it's not just an emergency situation. It's not just, this is the best we can throw out there. I think that actually when you look at them on paper, at least, Gunter has a pretty good shot of at least not letting him gash the Packers wide open.
That would be the hope. All right.
No one agrees.
I didn't know if I was muted or not, and then I had to cough.
So much listening to me. Yeah, that's okay.
One more Hot Pocket to go from the Hot Pocket Queen from last week.
Jayme's Hot Pocket was that her Hot Pocket last week was right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jayme?
I think we're all pocketed out.
Yes.
Maybe.
We de-pocketed. You were so focusing on listening on me, you forgot to listen to everyone else out.
We're waiting for the Hot Pocket from the Hot Pocket champion of last week.
I gave my Hot Pocket.
Oh, you're right. It was I was saying how you were right about the Hot Pocket. Oh, boy.
It was a very meta Hot Pocket. It was a Hot Pocket about a Hot Pocket.
This is why you're not a millennial, Al. It's okay.
Let's move on.
Cheesehead Radio. Packers game predictions.
really never going to get the volume on that correct. This Sunday, the 4-2 Green Bay Packers, coming off a win against the Bears, will head to Atlanta for the first of a 4-game road trip, playing Sunday in the late game 4:25 on Fox. What do we think is going to happen? Let's take it around the horn. First of all, Michelle.
Well, I feel like I'm the only one who ever predicts Packers losses around here, and it's a hard burden to bear. But I'm going to do it again. I did it against the Cowboys, and it wasn't popular, but it was right. So I'm doing it again. Falcons 27, Packers 24. I see it being really close. Perhaps the Falcons shouldn't even let it get that close. But obviously, I think, like we talked about with Bill, this is going to be a high-octane passing shootout on both sides. Rodgers didn't seem to have a lot of problems attempting 56 passes in Week 7, setting a franchise record with 39 completions. But I think just ultimately the Falcons have Julio Jones, and Green Bay's receivers are still struggling to make big plays downfield the way Jones can and to find the end zone. I mean, Devontae Adams had the 2 touchdowns last week. Jordy Nelson has fallen off the face of the earth. Randall Cobb and Ty Montgomery are both on the injury list. Ultimately, I think that the Falcons just have a little bit of an edge because this is going to be such a pass-heavy game with not much of a run game to speak of.
Michelle.
Sorry.
That's all right. Luckily, we have Old Reliable here next. Jayme, cheer me up, would you?
Well, I like part of Michelle's prediction in the Falcons 27, but I'm just giving the Packers 28. And to be truthful, I went 31-30, 30-29, 29-28. It took me a while to settle on those two numbers because it's hard to feel good about this one. The Falcons have shown they can put up points, and the Packers defense has shown it likes to give up the big pass play. And the Packers offense has yet to be consistent for 4 quarters, and like Michelle said, with the injuries that they are now getting, it's hard to see that actually happening. But I am just going to build off the hope, prayer, whatever good juju of the last, second quarter of the Bears game, and combine that with how awful the Falcons' defense is, and just hope that by somehow, some way, at the end of the day, the Packers will score at least one more point.
All right. Well, we have 1 loss, 1 win. Jersey Al, you're going to tip the scale one way or the other.
Well, I agree with Jayme that somehow, some way, the Packers are going to score one more point than the Falcons, and I think it's going to be a last-second field goal from my favorite Packer, Mason Crosby.
Crosby!
Isn't it about time? Isn't he overdue to win a game for the Packers on a last-second field goal, right? Hasn't happened in a while. So that's what I'm banking on. I'm banking on my guy, Mason Crosby, to win this game. Packers 28, Falcons 27.
Mason Crosby, your hero.
My guy.
Your guy.
Yep, I'm on the Crosby bandwagon now. Yep.
All right. Well, I'm sure Packer Ranter's giving you a sideways glance as he helps you up.
Deservedly so.
Exactly. My name's C.D. Angeli, and I am just going to go out on the limb. I got the funny thing is, if you average the scores so far, I think we have a very slight, and no one's picking a blowout in this game. Even Jayme is picking a 1-point win for the Packers. This is someone who normally picks 30 to 40-point wins for the Packers, regardless of the game. So this is, I think it's very telling what this game actually represents, which is, of course, we don't know what Green Bay Packers is going to show up. We know we have the injuries. We know that really this is a crossroads game for the Green Bay Packers this season. We're excited about the Bears win, but we're all tentative, and this is going to be a test. It's a 4-3 team. We're a 4-2 team. We have lost to the teams we should lose to, who are playing well. We are beating the teams that we should because they're playing poorly. So now we're looking at a team that might be in about the same spot as we are. If we can't beat them, we're not going to the playoffs this year, guys, honestly. So I think this is a huge game. I am predicting a Packer win. I am saying 29-26. And I'm trying to figure out how you score 29 points in a game in football.
I really like your numbers.
I know.
There's a lot
of
safety in that.
I think there's a safety. Did you know you can actually score 1
4
point?
touchdowns and 1 2-point conversion.
You don't need, and you can do it with just field goals and touchdowns.
This is true.
Because you can get 20 points, so then you add 9 to it, which is 3 field goals. So 29. It should be more common, I feel like.
That's 5 field goals, I guess, right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
So CD is also predicting
Your
a
boy,
big day
Mason
from
Crosby.
Al's boy.
Absolutely.
Crosby.
Did you know that it is possible now to score 1 point in a game?
It just happened, didn't it? Was it the Rams? It happened sometime this season. It's when you return the
extra point.
The extra point. You block it.
Oh,
Yeah.
So literally, you could finish with 1 point in a game if that's the only point you scored.
So maybe CD is predicting a lot of, at 29 could be a lot of missed extra points.
I believe that the Packers will do this 29 times.
Yeah.
That's really cool, though, isn't it? I mean, I never knew that was possible, so it's pretty cool.
Of course, that would mean that Atlanta scored 29 touchdowns.
Yes.
I don't think that would be a good thing. Yeah.
Well,
that would not,
they got Julio Jones.
You might want to think
very
about
bad
that.
Game.
Julio Jones might be good for 25 of those.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, there's Negative Nancy again. Chiming in.
Which one of us? We're all saying it.
Well, she's the only. Right. Michelle's the only one that picked the Falcons, so we have to get on her.
She's realistic, unfortunately.
Boo! Who needs reality?
Right?
Reality.
We're Packer fans.
It's overrated, reality.
All right. At least when Michelle came on the show, Al, she didn't call you Grandpa.
Yeah. and I would deny it ever happened if she did. 100%. Because you know my memory.
I wish I had now.
You know my
I really
memory.
wish you would have too.
You know what it's like.
We'll write Al's biography in 10 years.
You'll be editing it for sure.
Yeah. That was actually pretty funny, Susie. That was good.
Oh, good. That'll make up for my really bad question I had earlier for Bill Huber. So I'm back to even, Steve. All right. Let's take her out.
Yep.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us tonight on Cheesehead Radio, and a special thanks to our guest, Bill Huber. Make sure to head on over to PackersTalk.com, where you can explore several unique Packers podcasts. Please follow @PackersTalkNet on Twitter and like the Packers Talk network page on Facebook. Cheesehead Radio and all Packers Talk podcasts are available on iTunes. Just Google Packers Talk iTunes and you'll find it. Be sure to subscribe and please leave us a review if you can. And please make it a good one. You can also listen in by using Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, or your favorite podcasting app and search for Packers Talk. Finally, please be sure to support our sponsor, Ticket King. You can find them on the web at theticketking.com. That's theticketking.com. That's a wrap. Go Pack Go.
5-2 next week, guys. You heard it here.
Oh, yeah.
Except for Michelle.
Awesome.
Yeah. Hey, everyone have a great week. Enjoy the game. We'll talk to you next Wednesday. Until then, good night. Go Pack Go.
Go Pack
Good
Go.
night,
Go Pack Go.
When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can seem intense. Like breakup R&B intense.
I thought you said you loved the sweater that I got you. If you didn't, you could have told me.
Geico makes it easy. Just go to Geico.com anytime to update or check your policy without all the extra drama.
I even had a gift receipt.
Calling all shoppers. This is one event you can't afford to miss. Kohl's 50% off sale this Thursday through Saturday. Take 50% off hundreds of items store-wide. Plus, take an extra 20% off. Plus, take an extra $10 off your purchase of $50 or more. Plus, everyone gets Kohl's Cash. Plus, Yes to You members earn triple points. Now that's the good stuff. Kohl's. Select styles offer valid 10/27 through 10/30. Some exclusions apply. See store or kohls.com for details.